Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hole in One Show podcast presented by PXG. I am your host, Dave Schultz. Welcome in. Season 2, Episode 2. We're going to roll right along here. I want to touch on right now, we've got the PXG Trivia segment. The question is going to be opening our second segment. We had our first trivia piece last week, and the question was, where did our Gridiron Golf co-host KC Krumwiede go on the road and watch Nebraska this year? And it was at Colorado. Now, the first person to email me, God, I love her. She gave me life. Biggest supporter. My mom. Mom won the trivia. She sends me an email. Did I win?
So good.
Yes, Mom, you won. You watch it as soon as it comes out. I love you. You're the best, but you don't play golf, and you won't need the dozen golf balls, and you don't wear hats. So we went to our second winner, our second email that came in, and it's Justin Schmidt. Justin Schmidt is the winner of a brand new PXG hat and a dozen golf balls. So congrats, Justin Schmidt. Thanks for listening and watching the pod. And, Mom, as always, appreciate the support. Another sponsor here of the show, go to 32customs, 32customs.com. This is really cool. Check out these custom ferrules. This North Dakota-born business is changing the game when it comes to the end of your golf club. No longer do you need to sleep your way through a boring old black ferrules at the end of your golf club. Get your favorite design, your favorite team, your favorite color, anything to spruce up the end of your golf club. Go to 32customs.com and enter promo code HIO Show to get 25% off your purchase. Again, 32customs.com, promo code HIO Show, and show up to the tee in style. This is going to be, the Hole in One Show podcast, but we don't have to talk golf. It's football season, and it's my podcast, so we don't have to talk golf, right? We're talking football. This is football wall to wall, and we have a head football coach on the program in the second segment, Andy DelaBarre. Andy DelaBarre is the head coach of the LaMoure Litchville Marion Loboes, the number 2 seed in Region 1, 9-man. They're 7-2 overall, getting ready for the playoffs. He is a former Bison. We're going to talk some NDSU UND this past weekend. Tough game for the Bison. Things are certainly seeming to change. And congratulations to Coach Bubba Schweigert up there and all of the UND faithful. If there was ever a time to own a bar in Grand Forks, it was probably this past Saturday night. Congratulations, guys. And we're going to go right into it. We're going to bring in our co-hosts and start Gridiron Golf right now. KC Krumwiede, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, buddy.
So let's talk about Coach Andy DelaBarre. There's a connection that you brought to the show. Talk about your connection with Andy.
Yeah, so Andy and I got to know each other, it's going on a dozen years, we'll say. Andy played, it overlapped with the time I went to NDSU.
Okay.
I think he was a year younger than us technically, but maybe got to know him tail end of his playing career, but certainly kind of the formidable years after. He was a GA under Bull, a good friend of mine, AJ Cooper, and he GA'd. That's how I got to know Andy. So both cut their teeth in the coaching ranks collegiately to start with. AJ's still doing it. Andy found his niche in education to coincide with coaching. Yeah. And then ultimately, he was a principal. He was an AD, I believe, or a superintendent, and he's moved on into a little more private business, but he's still coaching football.
Good stuff. Going into the playoffs, and they've won the state championship a couple years ago. So we'll catch up with him in the second segment. We need to go through our picks from last week. Let's go Gridiron Golf. I'm just going to go through my picks.
Do it.
I missed BYU +5 at TCU. I got down on my home team, and they came back and they just blew out BYU at home. I wasn't expecting that. I missed my birdie pick. I pushed Oregon. Oregon at Washington. Oregon really seemed like they were limping down the field just trying to set up for a field goal. They didn't go for the win at the end, and it bit them in the butt. They ended up losing by 3, so I pushed that one because Oregon was +3. And then I missed USC. I got that wrong. Notre Dame must be better than we thought. I had USC a +2.5, and they essentially got blown out. It was not close. So I was +4 for the week, and I'm +4 overall for the season. I'm in last place on my own podcast. It's a little embarrassing. I think I know some football, and I just seem to miss or push every single week. KC, what did you do?
Are you really going to be disappointed here if quality assurance kicks in instead of +4? You're actually plus 10 on the season.
I'm plus 4 for the week, plus 10 for the
Yeah, there
season.
you go.
Yes, thank you. No, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I have no excuses. In fact, now that we only have 6, you can only go 6 under par in a week. I'm more than a week behind even par.
Yep.
This is tough. I need a new tournament. That's what
Well,
you kind of
hey,
wait for in pro golf. Is like, well, there's always next week. Well, I'm stuck. I'm plus 10. We need to turn it around.
We'll get you corrected here. We'll get you
KC, what did you do? You had Duke minus 3.5. Nice work.
So last week, birdie pick, I picked Duke minus 3.5. They had a good showing, so I went -1 in that game. Mm-hmm. I was high on Wyoming going against Air Force. Wyoming had plus 10.5 points.
A lot of points.
Wyoming lost, but they lost by 7.
Yep.
So I was -3 after those 2 picks. However, the equalizer and a big game maybe we'll touch on in a little bit here, NDSU, UND, not even close. For NDSU covering 3.5.
Not good. So you're even for the week. You're plus 2. You're plus 2 for the
overall.
season. You're leading, and then the fans of the Hole in One show. We flip a coin. We picked your teams. You missed NDSU. You missed USC, and you pushed Oregon. So you're plus 3 for the week. You're plus 9 total. Casey's plus 2. The fans are plus 9, and I'm plus 10. Brutal. All right. Let's go into picks for the. What was your takeaway from last week? What games did you watch? Your Cornhuskers were on bye. What did you watch?
Cornhuskers were on bye. I was very surprised by the biggest surprise was USC.
Yeah.
For me, I was high on USC. I was a little lukewarm on UND. I'm sorry, Notre Dame. I was lukewarm on UND too. I think the scripts on both of those have flipped for me.
Yep.
Because I really liked your picks. I thought about both those picks, and the biggest thing I took away was, home field advantage still remains a neutralizer in college football.
Sure is. The home
in
team
some degree.
Yep.
You see a team that's maybe down for a week or two. If they're heralded as a good team, which all these teams we're talking about are, they seem to bounce back. So Notre Dame bounces back after a couple disappointing weeks, and I did not see that coming.
Let's get right into the picks for this week. Your birdie pick. Open us up with your birdie pick. How many games do you have on your notepad there? Usually
I got
about
5 again. I got 5,
Man,
baby.
You coming in? Okay, open it up. Birdie pick.
Now, one of them might be for the DelaBarre special.
Oh.
But we'll leave that one hanging in the whims here. One thing we did opening week that I'm not sure, are we still doing it or is it an option, would be, can you pick the over or under?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a win
Then
or a loss.
let's just start here with Nebraska.
It's allowed.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm going to pick them as birdie.
Yep.
I like Nebraska to cover, so I like them to win. The last I looked at the point spread, it's 12. I'm not sure that point differential for me at this point yet in the rebuild is anything I'm even moderately comfortable betting on.
They're getting 12?
They're getting 12, so it's Nebraska minus 12.
Plus 12. They're getting 12 or they're giving 12?
No, they're favored by 12.
Oh, they're giving 12.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
got it.
So I'm going to take Northwestern to cover. I think Nebraska wins.
All right, so you're middling your own team. All right, my birdie pick, I got to go TCU. It's a rematch. They're in Manhattan. Rematch of the Big 12 championship game, 31-28 last year in the Big 12 championship game. Kind of tough TCU got to the championship game. That's great, but they didn't even win their own conference. It's like participation ribbon. They don't have any hardware. Brutal. So hopefully they're coming in with a little chip on their shoulder. They did play well last week. TCU's getting 6.5 at Manhattan. That's my birdie pick. TCU plus 6.5. Not leaving you anymore, Frogs. You proved me wrong last week. I'm going right into my Eagle pick. We have, I think, Big Noon Kickoff and College Game Day are both in Columbus for Ohio State hosting number 7 Penn State. Number 3 Ohio State hosting number 7 Penn State. I've got Ohio State minus 4. Last year they pushed Georgia to the wire in the semifinal game. They had a really good road win at Notre Dame, that's proven to be a better win by the day. They now host their first ranked opponent on the season in Columbus. Big game, obviously, 11 a.m. kickoff right away. First thing Saturday morning. Get your Bloody Marys ready. Let's watch some football. I'm going Buckeye. Minus 4, Ohio State. That's my Eagle pick.
Okay.
Sorry, Lions. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Scarlet and gray. Who do we have for your Eagle pick?
I'm going to take, let's see, we got Illinois, Wisconsin. Illinois is a home team. Wisconsin is coming into Champaign.
Off a loss to Iowa.
Illinois is coming off a win against Maryland. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin's favored by 2.5. I'm taking Wisconsin to cover.
Wisco. Nice. The Honey Badger. All right. Okay.
And then, should we roll into
your DE?
Double Eagle?
Your DE.
All
What's
right,
your DE?
I'm doing it. I'm doing an over-under.
Okay.
And I saw this one, and I don't know if I've ever seen an over-under quite this low. So Minnesota's traveling to Iowa, Floyd of Rosedale, I believe they call that game.
The battle of kickers. A couple of safeties in a.
The over-under. Now, I did watch a little bit of Iowa with a backup quarterback who looks maybe like a high school pulling guard. All respect to Nick Lackaduck here.
Okay.
The over-under is 32.5.
That's pretty low.
That's low. I'm going over.
You're going over 32.5?
I get it. It's backup players. It's futile offenses, but man, 32.5. We got to cover that. So I'm going the over Iowa, Minnesota.
I like it. My double Eagle pick, I'm going with the Duke and Florida State game. Duke is ranked 16th. Florida State looks great. God, I love that team. They're ranked 4th in the country. Duke, they're 5-1. They barely lost to Notre Dame, right? On the road.
Beat Clemson.
They beat Clemson. And Duke is getting 14. Afternoon game. So I have a morning game. I have an 11 a.m., a 2:30, and a 6. So I got all day I can focus on my picks.
Perfect.
In a yesteryear, I used to do that too. So when it wasn't just making, wasn't just a +1 or -1. It was like, oh,
yep,
get some stuff on the line here. Duke +14. Duke +14. I'm taking Duke +14 as my double Eagle pick on the road at FSU. So we have them all locked in. Now it's time for the fans, right? Last week, the fans missed NDSU. We touched on this. They missed USC, and they pushed Oregon. They're +9 total. Give me three picks for the fans.
I think in honor of DelaBarre joining us, he's a Tennessee guy.
Okay.
I think we got to make a pick on that game. They're playing Bama at Bama.
Ooh.
Bama favored by 9.
Bama goes this way. Oh, Tennessee. Fans get Tennessee.
What do you want it for? It's got to be birdie?
It's got to be birdie.
Okay.
Okay.
Tennessee +9.
+9. Well, Bama's not that impressive this year.
Agreed.
Now they'll win by 30. It's okay. Next one.
I like the TCU K-State game.
TCU's forward. TCU.
Okay.
Fans are on with me at TCU +6.5. Okay.
All right. Let's look one up here. Bear with me.
No, we're good. We're going to get into some two dudes talking right after we get through this last pick for the fans. Two dudes talking. We got to talk about Lisa and her marathon. Our oldest just celebrated a 7th birthday, and my wife was a genius. I'll explain that in a minute here.
Do you want some SEC action?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's get some Feinbaum action. Paul Feinbaum.
Okay, I looked at this game earlier. I like it because I think Auburn's tough to beat at home. Auburn has not been impressive this year. Ole Miss has. Ole Miss versus Auburn. Auburn's the home team.
Yep.
7 points. Ole Miss favored. Ole Miss -7. What do you like there?
I want the home team.
Let's go Auburn because
they're +7.
Auburn's +7.
Well, we're not picking for the fans. The highlighter doesn't lie. So Auburn is forward.
Yep.
Nope. We're not Auburn.
Okay. Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is favored by 7.
Ole Miss is favored by
-7.
Okay. The fans have their picks. Now let's talk. We have to follow up from last week. How did the marathon go for Mrs. Krumwiede?
You know, she
looked successful. She finished.
Yeah,
right?
she did great. She finished. Man, so these apps are crazy now. You can track where she is relative to the course, what her pace is.
My wife does that to me. I don't even run.
Oh, he's on the 8th hole? He said he was on the – yeah. So I was able to track kind of the whole race. Her pace got better even after mile 20. Wow. And I think she finished in a time window that she'd be happy with and was very happy with. The aftermath was incredible to watch. The soreness, like her waddling through. Well, she hopped in a car from Des Moines, Iowa, gets back to Fargo after running 26 miles. Like, I'm sore after driving 26 miles, maybe.
Yeah.
She drives home the 7+ hours, 7-8 hours, and she was sore for a day and a half, 2 days.
So what was Nurse Casey? Like, what did you do to help? I mean, were you just like,
they got
on a log, or did you do anything to help her?
They got home at like midnight.
Well, the soreness doesn't.
Sunday going into Monday.
Okay.
So, but the boys had a good weekend with me at the lake. We had a great time.
Stayed on schedule.
At that point, I couldn't really do much to help her. Everybody's down. Other than like, hey, what do you need to eat? I can pick something up. I can.
So is this the start of a lot of marathons, or is?
Don't know. That's TBD. I asked her the question, and she wasn't prepared to answer it yet.
Yeah.
So
it's like a golf season. At the end of every golf season, every golf pro's like, I'm never doing this again. Then you get amnesia over the winter, like, oh, here we go again. Here comes April 1st.
Yep, exactly.
That's cool. We had a big birthday in the house. Palmer, our oldest, turned 7, and we were gonna have this Friday. And my wife's brilliant. We had this Friday night plan, and I was gonna do some cooking on the grill. And we were going to do yard games, the old school stuff, just like balance the egg and the sack races and all that stuff. And my wife knows it's busy time right now. It's just getting to the end of the golf season. She goes, well, why don't we just have it Saturday afternoon from 3 to 5? And I go, why middle afternoon on Saturday? She goes, we don't have to feed anybody then.
Genius.
It was unbelievable.
Genius.
I was like,
absolutely.
Got it. I do want to fire up the grill. We got a new grill, but I like it. And so we just filled it full of cupcakes, and we did some pumpkin painting, and we did, like I said, some sack races. We went old school. We went in the backyard. Kids got active. Nobody broke any bones. And by the time the parents came to pick them up, they were riding helmetless with all of our bikes in the front yard, which was, I was a little worried about, but everybody got home safe, and they were sugared up, and they went home, and Palmer was happy. I mean, to get a smile on your 7-year-old's face is the whole entire goal. Now, this is interesting. We have a 7, 5, and 3, and our middle one, I saw the future. So our Palmer was opening presents, and our middle one was like sitting there on the floor, just looking up at her, just in a total awe of her older sister. And I was just like, man, she wants to be her older sister so bad right now, opening these presents in front of all her friends. And so I got a couple of chairs next to Palmer, and I put Eden in one and Scotty in the other, so they were up next to Palmer, feeling like they were opening presents too. I saw it. I'm like, oh no, the middle is like feeling like left out right now. I mean, that's you have 3, right? And it's like you want everyone to have the same amount of attention and feeling special. And I know it was Palmer's big day, but I just saw like, oh honey, come on, come sit up here.
Well, that's good on you, and that's a real thing with young kids like that, and we've dealt with the same thing with whoever's birthday it is. More often than not, it's the youngest one that's dealing with, oh, well, what do I get to do, right? So you do anything you can to kind of make them feel
I have a question for you. Have you and Lisa gone on any, like, how soon after your firstborn did you go on a trip, just you two?
Okay. After Clara.
Yeah. Because we're nowhere. We have not gone anywhere without the kids yet, and our oldest is 7. They come with us.
We've gone on, gosh, I have to think within a year we went somewhere.
Right.
We've gone on a couple.
I don't know why. It wasn't like on purpose. We just haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah. No, I get it. Well, yeah. And to really take a step back and think about each other in that way, you have to do that, right? But it happens so quick that all of a sudden, if you don't really consciously take the time to think about it, and like, we need to get away together,
right?
Then it just you succumb to the routine of everything else. And
so happy birthday to my wife Kelsey, October 16th. She just turned 29 and 39, and I was like, well, we're gonna go on a trip, just you and I.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing about this whole thing is she just started playing golf this year. And so we're going to take our golf clubs and we're going to go golf. And I asked her, I said, did you ever think that, first of all, it would take 7 years for us to go on a trip, just you and I.
Yeah.
And secondly, when we did, we'd be bringing golf clubs. And I guarantee the answer is no, because she's had a hate relationship with pro golf ever since we started.
Sure,
it was like the other woman. Like, I just kept going back to pro golf.
Yeah.
Come on, honey, it'll be fine. She's like, no, it's not going to be fine. We're going to turn right back around. It's going to go. It's not good. And so I asked her, I said, do you ever think that we'd be going on a golf trip? She said, no, I didn't, but I'm looking forward to it.
That is awesome. That is an outstanding trip. You guys are going to California?
Yeah, going to sneak out to California mid-November, so it might be a little cold, but we're going to go out there and play a little golf and get away, right? 3 kids. There's a lot of summer was busy. Yep. You know, it's high tide for a lot of the trades. A lot of people work up here. Summer is the busy time, and we're just coming off of that. Like I said, closing the golf course and something to look forward to before Thanksgiving. Do you guys have any plans coming up?
We do. Nothing super imminently, but late November. I think it overlaps into December. We're going to go to Phoenix. Spend a little time down there. She has actually a work function down there that is the impetus for us going. But we're gonna parlay it into a couple extra days.
Nice.
Hopefully play a little golf. Meet up with a couple people down there on my end while she's doing some work things, and
there you go.
It's dual purpose.
That's right. All right, folks. After the break, football moves on. Andy DelaBarre is in. Head coach LaMoure Litchville Marion Loboes, number 2 seed, Region 1 9-man. Football right after the break. Stay with us. Okay.
Any bank can tell you they have a rock-solid commitment to agriculture. Bell can prove it. To this day, every Bell Bank branch is partially built with rocks we've picked from our founder's farm. But our roots in ag have grown more than a few offices. They've shaped who we are and formed our entire approach to banking. Let us prove it to you as you grow your farm and prepare your legacy for the next generation. Bell Bank, committed to ag.
Golf to me is patience.
It's weird to say, but golf is life.
It is. It's the ultimate game of life.
It's an individual sport.
You have to put in a lot of work to get minimally better. That's kind of the beauty of it. You come back to improve.
That's why I love golf, is just every shot is different.
That next round, that next shot, it could be that start of a story.
I don't even want to say a game. It's more than a game.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hole in One Show podcast. We now welcome in the old ball coach, Andy DelaBarre. Welcome into the Hole in One Show, man. Thanks for joining us. It looks like you are just in the middle of defense, offense. What's the story out there at practice today?
Well, we just wrapped up a little conditioning today, and first day, kind of work day of the week. Yesterday was more mental, but we're back at full pads and got the pads popping a little bit today.
Nice. Andy, give us your background. How long you been the ball coach there?
I've been in LaMoure since 2012, so this is my 11th season as the head coach in LaMoure. Before that, spent 4 years up in Langdon, taught and coached up there. So I've been doing this high school football since 2008 now. So it's been feels like it's gone real fast, but enjoyed every single year, every single season. It kind of flies by every time you look back at it.
Sure. And your background with NDSU, when did you graduate?
My senior season was 2005. I spent 06 and 07 as a student grad assistant. So I coached the tight ends for those two seasons, and kind of realized I wasn't going to make good money as a GA, and had a family already, had a daughter at the time, and said I better get a real job.
Sure. So the passion is coaching.
Yeah, passion's coaching. I work with people throughout the day. I'm a financial advisor by day, coach by night. So I get to have the best of both worlds. And this fall season, this is the best time of year.
So Casey, take it away. We got some playoff football coming up.
We got playoff football happening imminently, Andy. And you guys it sounds like it's regional play, right? And you got North Star coming up on Saturday. Is that correct?
Yeah, so in 9-man and in Class A football, which is that the lowest 11-man league. We start our playoffs with the first round this Saturday, so a lot of playoff action football starting up Saturday. AA and AAA will start their playoffs next week. So for us, it's kind of a cross region. For Region 1, we'll play Region 2's number 3 seed. So a home field advantage for us, which, anytime you don't have to travel, the better. And so, yeah, a lot of football, a lot of meaningful football, win or go home right now.
What's the road to the Dakota Bowl?
Well, I think there's some really good football in the east side of the state. It's kind of been that way, I think, now for the last 5-10 years. I say that, and New Salem was a team who won the state title last year, but it's always seems to be a battle in the east, and by the time you get to the Fargo Dome, really anything can happen. So Sargent County, which is your Milner, your Gwinner, and Foreman co-op, they came down from 11-man this season, so they're right now the number 1 seed in the state.
Oh, really?
I'd say they're the team. Yeah, they're the team to beat, and you get into some controversial talk about this opt-down in the state of North Dakota. There's a lot of small schools who feel they get slighted when some of those bigger co-ops, bigger schools opt down to either 9-man or to like 11B or 11A, which it happens more than you think.
That's not just going to a different league. That's a whole different offense. That's a whole different game.
Philosophy.
Yeah, it's like 4 guys off the field type thing.
100%.
So it's been kind of I think a hot topic in the state, especially for coaches. When for us, an average number on our roster is probably in the low 20s. We've had pretty good numbers the last few years. We've had some success, but when you look at New Rockford, Maddox Co-op this year, they got 41 or 42 kids on their roster. Across the team like that, you go, holy smokes, how many kids do they have? And there's something to be said about depth and just being able to have strength in numbers. So I think we take what we get. We're not
it's a good challenge
or pointing fingers.
It's a good challenge.
Good challenge.
Right? So Andy,
we played Sargent County.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I totally interrupted you. Go ahead about playing Sargent County.
I was just saying we played Sargent County. Yep, that was our first game of the season, and I think we love nothing more than another shot at them, and hopefully that happens at Fargo Dome.
Okay, so that was going to be part of my question. So regionally, you guys in Sargent County are in the same region, Region 1, but the way the playoff system works, you play through regional seeding, right? And then as you get deeper and evolve into this playoff run, do you reseed in a sense?
Well, right now the top 4 teams in the state are seeded. So you've got number 1, which is Sargent County. You have number 2, which is New Rockford. 3, which is South Border, and then 4 is West Hope, Newburgh, Glenburn. So you've got 4 regions that were ranked the top 4. So it's going to be really not until the semifinals that total ranking comes into play. Because if we win this week and New Rockford wins, we'll travel to New Rockford. If we beat New Rockford and South Border wins, we'll travel to South Border. So it takes a rare occurrence for a ranked team to not make it to the semifinals, but I suppose it could happen.
Well, let's talk a little UND NDSU. I sorry to put UND first, but they did win the game this past weekend. As a former Bison, what do you take away watching this football game this past weekend?
Well, you never like to see the Bison lose, especially to UND.
Been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Well, I remember it because it was 2003 and I was a sophomore at NDSU. So
sorry.
I know what that feeling is to lose in the Allaire Center. It's not a favorite spot. I think, again, the rivalry has been great for the state. I'm glad to see it come back. I'm glad to see I think Bubba Schweigert's a good coach. He recruited me out of high school. A great down-to-earth guy. I got nothing bad to say about him, and they have a good staff. And, they kind of won the energy. They kind of won the
Sure.
It looked like they wanted it more on Saturday. And, that's any time you're playing a rival game and a team wants it more, it's gonna come in their favor. And it kind of reminded me a lot of that 2003 game. Our game was just a lot closer. This was a bloodbath.
Andy, I got a question for you. As it pertains to depth, you alluded to it in the 9-man front, right? or the 9-man caliber of high school football. And as we were to dovetail that maybe into the UND kind of NDSU FCS conversation, with the advent of the transfer portal, NIL, and I may be saying this specifically on the NDSU front and just seeing the attrition that they had at a bunch of positions, but it certainly affected depth for NDSU. And this isn't a hot take by any means. You can speak towards it here too. But maybe one point I took from that game on Saturday was just the effect that the depth that NDSU always used to have and thrive on. They just rotate guys at every level. And then thinking about how the attrition they had specifically in the secondary. We'll use that as an example with, you guys got like Siegel and Eubanks and Dom Jones, and all those guys started and played incredibly well last year at times. And then you just get rid of it. I'm not saying the guys that come in aren't maybe as capable or good, but what that does to your overall depth, and then you take that concept and apply it across the board to every position group. Is that something that you see as a
problem
a
for the
hurdle
Bison.
for the Bison or just FCS in general? And then to maybe kind of have a second point to that, they've always been a developmental program, right? They've always recruited well and recruited diamonds in the rough per se, developed them. And I do say recruited well because they've gone to places where there is depths of talent, but they're taking guys that aren't necessarily offered by a bunch of FBS schools. They're grabbing raw athleticism, turning it into really capable players, i.e. Christian Watson. Let's use him, right? This day and age, now with NIL, transfer portal, what, you hang on to a guy for a year like that, and then he's going to your school in Tennessee? You know what I'm saying? Would you be willing to touch on that or maybe give your concept or philosophy behind that too?
Yeah, no, I agree. The game has changed, from the top down, and I'll take Coach Bull always had the saying, you're either green and growing or ripe and dying, and you could take that on so many fronts, from a coach with the team, your players, to your business. But college football is a business now, and you got to play the game that has really formed here in the last couple of years. And I agree with you. NDSU has done it right for so long, but right isn't what it is anymore. You don't just recruit your wholesome, Midwestern kid and develop him into a 4 or 5 year player for you. I'm not saying you don't do that. I think you still have those instances, but what's happening to NDSU and kids going in the portal and losing some pretty good talent. You can think back to the last couple of years, just a handful of really talented kids that could also play behind or have guys play behind them and learn from them and understand this is what it takes to be a Bison on whether it's on offense or defense or any position. So I think, it's almost where are the Bison not playing that game too, because you look at the Division II level, how many times do you see in the NFL draft or even just free agencies where you get a pretty good group of Division II football players that are talented? And don't tell me you can't go to a Division II kid, I guess really anywhere in the country, and show them the program that NDSU has and say, hey, come play for us. You're 21, you're 22, you're going into your senior year. You're a hell of a quarterback in Division II. We could use you. You can lead us, and we just need to see that. Maybe that's something NDSU needs to pick up on more. And maybe they are. I don't know. I just think it's a different game that they got to play. Recruiting's not just go find your kid, commit them, and you got them for 4 years or 5. You gotta be thinking the long term and understanding too that maybe we need to go find some talent that's not the base ground, NDSU Bison that you've had from their freshman year on.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different world for sure. All right, when's the game? When's the next game?
Yeah, Saturday. We play Saturday against North Star in LaMoure, 1 o'clock.
All right. Best of luck, and have a great run through the playoffs, and hopefully see you in the Fargo Dome.
Hey, appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks, Coach. Andy DelaBarre on the Hole in One Show podcast. Casey, thanks for bringing him into the fold. Well, that's an interesting challenge. North Dakota State, UND, teams in that caliber that get their guys, they're going into the transfer portal. Coach DelaBarre is dealing with teams that were 11-man football last year, and now they're 9-man football. They're looking across. They've got double the roster on the other side of the field. I mean, those guys have fresh legs every single play. It's a real coachable moment teachable moment for a coach to be able to tell his kids, hey, fight through adversity, fight through the fact that they've got double the roster, and just go fight every single down.
Yeah, I think that has to be the message. If you're up against numbers like that, it is interesting too, just the philosophical change if you're going from 9-man to 11 or vice versa, right? That you have to endure, because in talking with Andy and some of these other coaches at the high school ranks, there is a feeder scenario where it's, let's say once you get to junior high ball, 7th, 8th grade, you're starting to learn varsity principles, and that's going to be your culture for the next 5 years.
So if you're a coach on a team that went from 11 to 9-man, just think about this for a second. First of all, you're learning 9-man football, and you're coaching 9-man football. You probably have parents whose kids are not getting as much playing time because you're literally going, there's less people on the field. And then third, you're up against teams that have half the roster who are 9-man football always, and you're probably getting heck from them that you're coming down to a different league. That's not an easy position to be in. I mean, it's not their choice.
No, it's a difficult scenario, and I think
you want what's best for the kids and what makes sense, and communities are growing.
I was going to ask him
or communities are getting smaller. People are going to a bigger city. The different leagues are changing.
And you're exactly right. And I was going to ask him, a reciprocal of that would maybe be one thing I noticed. I think Cavalier in the previous couple of years leading up to this has been 9-man. So now they're up at 11-man, and I noticed they're playing Central Cass, right? So he'd probably be a good guy to bounce that question off of as well. Okay, so if it's going this way, what do you see? If it's going the other way,
right,
what do you see?
Right. It's playoff football season. The ceiling is low. It's duck hunting. We're almost to deer season. We got a lot to talk about on the pod coming up, and it's playoff
good
football.
Time of year, buddy.
It's gonna be fun. See how our picks do this week. And folks, before we get out of here tonight, let's do some PXG trivia. Trivia question this week is who and what age? Who won the Shriners Invitational Open, and what is his age? Young guy, back-to-back, very impressive, 3rd PGA Tour win. Name and what is his age? Will win a dozen PXG golf balls and a new PXG hat, and that is your PXG trivia question. A lot of fun to have Coach DelaBarre on this evening. Casey, thanks for being on the Hole in One show. We'll see how our picks do this week in Gridiron Golf, and we'll do it all over again next week.
That sounds good, Dave.
All right, folks, thanks for being with us. Like I said, we will see you next week, and keep having fun on the Hole in One Show podcast.